Beef stroganoff is rich, creamy, and as easy to make as it is tasty. Plus, from ground beef to filet mignon, you can use just about any quick cooking cut of beef that you like. Serve over egg noodles, and you have got one delightful dinner. Alright, as I just mentioned, you can use just about any quick cooking cut of beef you'd like, from ribeye to sirloin, even ground beef. I'm going a little fancy today with some beef tenderloin. I am going to go ahead and dice these up into large bite-sized pieces. If you're using ground beef, you go ahead and cook it all the way through, but if you're using a nice steak like this, you want to try and keep it a little pink on the inside. Go ahead and cut off any fat or gristle and set your beef aside. We'll also need about 8 ounces of mushrooms that I've cleaned and halved, 1 white onion that I've finely diced, 2 or 3 cloves of garlic, nice and minced, some Worcestershire sauce, Dijon mustard, beef broth, flour, and butter. It's pretty simple, right? Not a long list of ingredients. Let's get to work. Put a couple tablespoons of olive oil in a skillet over medium-high heat and brown your steak on both sides or all sides. You want to try and get a nice color on there, but again, don't overcook it unless you just like your steak well done. Give it a couple minutes on one side, flip, and give it a couple minutes more. Work in batches if you need to so you don't overcrowd your pan. And then once all of your steak is cooked on the outside with a nice brown crust, get it out and set it aside. As you can see, we've got a great fond developing on the bottom of this pan. That's why I'm not using non-stick for this recipe. And that fond is full of flavor, which we need to extract. So we're going to add our mushrooms in and a heavy pinch of salt. That's going to help to draw moisture out of the mushrooms, and that moisture is going to help us deglaze the bottom of our skillet. Some onions in there will help do the same. And then just stir those around again, still cooking on medium-high heat here, browning those mushrooms, softening those onions, and scraping the fond off the bottom of the pan as you go. Definitely want to season that up with some salt and pepper. Add in your butter and your garlic just to get that garlic nice and fragrant. Once the butter melts, we'll shake in our flour. The exact ingredient amounts are down below in the description. And we're going to cook that flour just until it is no longer white and starts to toast up and get a nice nutty aroma hitting you from that pan. As soon as all that flour is nice and toasted, add in your beef stock and scrape everything to continuously get that fond off the bottom of the pan and help that flour incorporate. We'll add in a splash of Worcestershire sauce along with about a tablespoon there of Dijon mustard, and then just incorporate everything together and let this simmer for a few minutes to tighten up. Finally, we're going to add back in all of our steak and any accumulated juices. Give that maybe a minute just to finish cooking through to a nice medium rare in the middle, and then we can kill the heat. Once it's off heat, we're going to taste and adjust for that final bit of seasoning as needed. Mine needed a pinch more of salt and a good hefty crack of black pepper. This dish to me really calls for lots of heavy black pepper. And finally, off the heat, we're going to add in a good sploosh of sour cream. That's going to give this a nice creaminess and light brown texture to our sauce. I've got a bed of egg noodles, which I boiled up per package directions, but you can serve this with mashed potatoes or rice as well. And then I'm just going to spoon over several generous portions of our creamy gravy and tender steak and mushrooms. Maybe garnish it with just a little bit more sour cream and some chives. So as you can see, we have a beautiful crust on the outside of our steak. That creamy gravy is lusciously coating everything, and the inside is still blushingly pink. Of course, this is filet mignon, so it is going to be tender AF and tasty as well. Those noodles get coated in that sauce quite lovely as well. This is a really comforting, rich, and creamy dish that honestly, unless you go crazy with the sour cream, is not too fattening and not too bad for you, especially if you use a nice lean cut like filet mignon. Hope you'll give this a try. It is comforting, quick, easy, and delicious. But anyways, now it's your turn to go and make something delicious.